All right, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I'm going through giving you my picks for week 17 of the NFL season, and we're going to kick things off on Christmas Day, where your 14-1 Kansas City Chiefs head to the 10-5 Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's hop on into it. All right, kicking things off for us on Christmas Day, the Kansas City Chiefs at the Pittsburgh Steelers on Netflix. Chiefs minus 2.5-point favorites at the Steelers, and the Steelers desperately need this one to keep pace in the AFC North. This is a kind of a must-win spot for them. And the Kansas City Chiefs, they can lock up home field advantage throughout the playoffs, get that first round bye if they pick up a dub this week. I mean, Kansas City just, man, there is some magic going. Somehow this Chiefs team, which is like clearly not the best Chiefs team we've seen over these last few seasons, they're 14-1. They're going to end up being the best Chiefs team we've seen. Are they due for a fall here? I think so. I think this is just a desperation spot for the Steelers. They have to win this game to have any shot to win the AFC North. We're going to get George Pickens back, and that's going to be a big help. We've seen this offense for Pittsburgh kind of struggle with Pickens out the last few weeks. Need that deep threat shot for them. Got to get the run game going, and Kansas City is just still so banged up. This team is falling apart. I know the Chiefs always seem to find a way to win this game, but I think finally Pittsburgh in a desperation spot gets the dub here, but I will not be surprised whatsoever if the Chiefs sneak out a last-second victory. But I think the Chiefs finally take a loss, and they lock things up next week in Week 18 against the Broncos. Okay, in the second game of our Christmas doubleheader, we have the 10-5 Baltimore Ravens traveling to the 9-6 Houston Texans. Not a whole lot on the table for the Texans. They're pretty much locked in as your 4 seed in the playoff race this year. So the Texans going to be hosting a playoff game in the first round, but Baltimore, everything to play for, need to win this game to keep pace in the AFC North. And who knows, Kansas City beats the Steelers in the early game. Extra motivation here for the Ravens. Ravens minus 5.5. And they've been playing a really good style of football lately. Running the ball a little bit down as where they were compared to earlier in the season, but still Derrick Henry having a fantastic season. Lamar Jackson really making a push for that MVP race. And CJ Stroud in this Texans offense just feels so limited now. Lose Tank Dell for the season. Joe Mixon, Nico Collins, that's it. CJ Stroud's not been playing at the level we've expected from him. But again, we maybe need to cut some slack as a second-year quarterback, and this Texans defense really just isn't good enough. They can rush the passer, but they're really just not great on the back end. They do have Derek Stingley Jr., who's an awesome corner, but they're just way too many holes. There are some injuries. Zay Flowers questionable, but Mark Andrews has been coming on very strong. He is the Mark Andrews of old. I think the Ravens just a little bit more desperate, much more meaningful game for them. Take care of business on the road, dispatch to the Houston Texans, and more questions continue with the Texans. A letdown season potentially incoming in a first round exit for Houston. Okay, we got Wednesday games, and we also got Thursday games this week. We got the 8-7 Seattle Seahawks traveling to the 4-11 Chicago Bears. Seattle minus 4 points in this one. I think this is an easy call here. Seattle played a really good game against Minnesota last week. Kitchen sink type game. They ultimately lost. They're now pretty much eliminated from the NFC West. They're probably going to be on the outside looking in, but crazier things have happened in this league. So Seattle's got to win this one. Chicago's packed it up. There was a pathetic performance against the Detroit Lions. This defense is now awful. Caleb Williams, the queen of stat padding, turning into Kyler Murray. Yeah, he can do nothing when the game matters, but when the garbage time rolls in, he can pick apart defenses left and right. Give me Geno Smith and the Seahawks get things back rolling. Got to keep pace, try and force the Rams into a situation where if they lose to the Cardinals, everything to play for week 18. Now, maybe they get some help if there's some losses around there. They still could be alive heading into the final week of the season. But since they play so early in the week, going to be all the motivation in the world. Make a statement, go get that dub. So give me the Seahawks in Chicago to take care of the Bears. All right, we got Wednesday games, we got Thursday games, and we even got Saturday games this week. There's a lot of football on deck for us as the 9-6 Los Angeles Chargers head to the 3-12 New England Patriots. Look, this is going to be an easy one for me. New England's kind of been spicy. You know, they've been competitive in games, but this is a horrendous roster with a horrendous coaching staff, but They do got Drake May. They do got Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry's okay. Drake May is awesome. Love me some Drake May. And you know how I feel about the Chargers and Jim Harbaugh. This is a great football team. He's really turned things around. Justin Herbert, awesome quarterback. And we're getting my guy J.K. Dobbins back. It looks like off the IR. Pair that with Ladd McConkey, who's feeling a little bit better. This defense has been awesome for the Chargers. Now, they've struggled a little bit against top-tier offenses, but New England is not that. I think they're going to have a feast day. Chargers lock up that wild card spot with a win here in New England in Week 17. All right, we got a very tasty Saturday afternoon game as the 9-6 Denver Broncos travel to the 7-8 Cincinnati Bengals in a must-win spot for Cincinnati. Bengals laying 3.5 points here at -105 at home, so a little bit of extra juice to swallow that hook over the field goal for Cincinnati. Denver coming off a 10 days rest. Very interesting matchup here. Bengals defense has been awful. They've been one of the worst defenses in the league this year, and their offense has been spectacular. Joe Burrow, look at these numbers, man. 4,200 yards, 39 tutties, 8 interceptions, and pair that with almost 1,000 yards rushing from Chase Brown. We got 1,500 yards and 16 touchdowns for Jamar Chase. Bo Nix has looked fine at points. He still has a lot of bad turnovers each and every week. This Broncos defense is legit, near the tops in scoring defense in the NFL, but they've had some moments this year when they've played top-tier offenses where they've gotten exposed, and I think we're going to be looking at that once again. Let's keep things spicy in the NFL. Cincinnati gets a win and forces Denver into a must-win situation in Week 18. Bengals still need a little bit else help, even if they win next week and this week, so Bengals take care of business at home, make it very exciting in Week 18. Because honestly, I've been preaching fraud all year for Denver, and they keep proving me right. So Bengals here this Saturday. Okay, and finally on Saturday, we have the 7-8 Arizona Cardinals traveling to the 9-6 Los Angeles Rams. This is a game just 4 weeks ago, looked like it was going to be a big playoff implication matchup. Cardinals have fallen apart. The Rams have been cruising, and the Cardinals are now eliminated. Rams control their destiny in the NFC West. They can clinch the division with a dub this week at home against the Cardinals. Give me the Rams to take care of business. Arizona pathetic last week against the Carolina Panthers. Kyler Murray looking a hell of a lot more like Daniel Jones than he is, an elite quarterback in this league. Matt Stafford's been a little bit up and down, but really a lot more up than down, especially at home this season. Pair that with a potent rushing attack in Kyren Williams, and when they have both their receivers, I believe the Rams are 9-2 this season when both Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp play. They might be 8-2, so yeah, 8-2 or 9-2 when both those receivers play. So dominating actually when both those guys play. Pair that with a very young defense, a very good pass rush from those young guys. Maybe some work in the secondary. Cardinals just put a bunch of guys on the IR, including a couple of linemen. So I just think this is mail-in in time for Arizona, and LA wraps up that division this week with a win here against the Cardinals. Okay, now to the day we actually are supposed to play NFL games. We got Sunday action here. The 4-11 New York Jets travel to the 12-3 Buffalo Bills. 10-point line here. We're starting to see these ridiculous lines at the end of the season. Look, we know the Jets are awful. We know the Bills absolutely have to win this game to keep pace. May be futile if Kansas City wins on Wednesday, but if the Chiefs lose, the window is open for the Bills. But still, they want to lock up that 2 seed, get those 2 home playoff games, and the worst case scenario for them. So give me the Bills. No sweat here. They had their scare last week against the Patriots. I think we'll be seeing a different story this week against the Jets. I mean, this could be the end of Rodgers here. I think he comes back and plays next year, but Buffalo takes care of business in Week 17. Okay, we got a toilet bowl matchup here. The 3-12 Las Vegas Raiders taking on the 5-10 New Orleans Saints. Quarterback situation, who the hell knows? It's probably going to be Aiden O'Connell versus maybe Derek Carr, maybe Spencer Rattler, maybe Jake Haener. Who the hell knows in New Orleans? Alvin Kamara also banged up. He may not play. Now, the Saints did just get utterly embarrassed on national television on Monday night. So I think the Saints maybe give you a strong performance. But the Raiders in peak Raiders form, going from the first draft pick to the 6th draft pick now, I could see them screwing this up once again, winning a meaningless game here in December. So give me the Raiders on the road to bring this one home. Just screw things up even more. Get Antonio Pierce fired. Don't have themselves a quarterback. I mean, Aiden O'Connell is not a disaster, but he's not a franchise guy. And it's just really funny to watch poverty franchises continue to screw things up when there's potential future on the line. So give me the Raiders in an upset. I guess not. They're 1-point favorites on the road here. Give me the Raiders to win and screw their draft pick even more. Okay, the 7-8 Indianapolis Colts traveling to the 2-13 New York Football Giants. This is just a massive mismatch. The Giants are easily the worst team in the NFL. There's no bright spots for this team. I can't take any positives away from them. I mean, Malik Neighbors has been pretty solid as a rookie receiver, but God, they can't do anything good. And the Colts still fighting for their playoff lives. In fact, if Denver loses out and the Colts win out, they will be your 7th seed in the AFC. They have got to be disgusted that Jonathan Taylor fumbled away their season in Denver just 2 weeks ago. But they got to keep winning games. Give me the Colts here at 7-8 to take care of the lowly 2-13 New York Giants. Okay, a game that probably everyone thought would be for the division this year. We have the 7-8 Dallas Cowboys taking on the 12-3 Philadelphia Eagles. Absolutely nothing at stake here. The Cowboys have already been eliminated. The Eagles are essentially locked into their spot as the 2 seed in the NFC. They can't really get the 1 seed unless both Detroit and Minnesota lose this week. So they're pretty much locked in at the 2 seed. Jalen Hurts in concussion protocol. We don't know where he stands at the time of this recording. Probably wouldn't play him if I'm the Eagles. Give him an extra week off. So we're going to see Kenny Pickett versus Cooper Rush. Dallas is getting 9.5 points here. This is a ton of points, man. I would kind of like Dallas in this one, but Cowboys coming off a big emotional win on Sunday Night Football, and the Eagles coming off a tough loss against the Commanders. I expect Philly to bounce back here, even with Kenny Pickett. I don't think Kenny Pickett was the problem. It was really the defense. Saquon Barkley running the football. Give me the Eagles here to take care of business at home against the Cowboys. Really not much on the line here, but they want to get back to their winning ways. Or are we going to see the Eagles completely torpedo once again, thanks to goofball head coach Nick Sirianni? Okay, the 4-11 Carolina Panthers versus the 8-7 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Carolina coming off of a huge win in overtime against the Arizona Cardinals. Tampa Bay, a brutal loss against the Cowboys. They are now out of control of their own destiny as far as the NFL playoffs are concerned. But I expect Tampa Bay to come back home against a Panthers team that's feeling high off a win and lay the smackdown down. It's 8 points here. I love Tampa Bay in this game. I think they refocus, readjust. Bucky Irving, a fantastic running back. And the Panthers offense really relies on Chuba Hubbard on the ground to get things going. And Tampa Bay's run defense is one of the best in the NFL. Get Mike Evans. He's just under 200 yards away from his 1,000-yard receiving season. So they're going to be pushing to get that for him as they try and sneak into the playoffs. So give me Tampa Bay in a not very close one. I think we saw the last of the feisty Panthers this season. Okay, probably the best / worst game of the day. This is probably going to be fun to watch if you want to watch bad football. We got the 3-12 Tennessee Titans versus the 3-12 Jacksonville Jaguars. Just remember, Tennessee just fired Mike Vrabel as their head coach. Well-run organization. There we go. Mason Rudolph at quarterback adds a little bit something. Tony Pollard. Okay, Mac Jones isn't completely terrible. He's not good, but he's not a disaster at quarterback. I do love what Brian Thomas Jr. has done this season. I mean, the rookie wide receivers this year have been awesome if they're not named Marvin Harrison Jr. I think it's going to be an ugly game. It's going to be who wants to lose this game. Give me the Titans here. I just think Mason Rudolph is a smidge more competent than Mac Jones at quarterback. Calvin Ridley having a decent season as well. Tony Pollard going to be able to run the football against Jacksonville. So give me Tennessee in what's a terrible game, but actually like kind of big in draft pick implications here, because one of these teams is probably going to be falling outside the top 5 and then like into the maybe outside the top 10 even. I don't know. I have to see what the tiebreakers are, but give me the Titans in a win here on the road against the Jaguars. Okay, we have the 7-8 Miami Dolphins traveling to the 3-12 Cleveland Browns. Somehow the weather isn't going to be a disaster in Cleveland. It's supposed to be like 51, which is well below that 80-degree mark that the Dolphins need to play with. But it's above that 40-degree mark where I think it's going to be just warm enough where the Dolphins can get a win. Really, this depends on who's playing quarterback. If Jameis Winston plays a quarterback, the Cleveland Browns are live, baby. They are absolutely live. If they stick with Dorian Thompson-Robinson, this is all Miami all day. I don't give a shit how cold it is. He is a horrendous quarterback. 1 touchdown to 9 interceptions so far in his career. Jerome Ford, not doing it. Jerry Jeudy has no connection with him. and the defense in Cleveland is just not good anymore. So give me the Dolphins here to get a win. Stay alive in that playoff race. They just need the Colts and the Broncos to slip up, and they will find themselves in the playoff season. Devon A-Chain's having a really good season for them. The defense is kind of hit or miss in Miami. They played okay last week. But give me the Dolphins. I think it's going to be just warm enough at 51 degrees to not make this offense completely shut down and fall apart against a terrible Cleveland Brown squad. All right, we brought maybe the best game of the weekend, at least the most hyped game of the weekend. We have your 11-4 Green Bay Packers taking on my 13-2 Minnesota Vikings in a border battle that has all the playoff implications. Green Bay can win this game and then slide potentially into the 5 seed, moving to 12 wins. Minnesota wins this game, and it will be for all the marbles next week against the Lions. Not only the division, but the number 1 overall seed in the NFC. Minnesota won the first meeting between these two teams in Lambeau. Earlier in the year, it was Jordan Love's first game back from injury. Had a bad first half, but was really strong in the second half. I think this is going to be a really interesting contrasting styles matchup. Minnesota's defense against the run has been not great the last few weeks, but overall is really good on the season, especially in the red zone. Green Bay loves to power run the football. We got a Green Bay secondary that's pretty beat up and has been giving up some yardage, man. Green Bay is not very good in the yardage category, but they do force turnovers. They do keep people from scoring. So that's going to be the key here. Who is going to be better in the red zone and who is going to not turn the football over? Minnesota's defense, the only team with a turnover in every single game. Like I said, Green Bay towards the top in the league in turnovers. So that's going to be the difference here. Obviously, I got to go with my Vikings holding serve at home. I think this team is just too talented offensively for Green Bay to keep up with. Pair that with an elite Brian Flores scheme. They're going to make adjustments from that first matchup. Green Bay feeling really good lately, and I think that just screams a letdown spot here in Minnesota. Huge spot for this game, and it should be a fun one, but I gotta go with my Vikings. Come on, guys. Cut me a break. Sunday Night Football, a really fun one as the 8-7 Atlanta Falcons travel to the 10-5 Washington Commanders. Washington could have a playoff berth already clinched up based on what the earlier games do, but if they don't, they win and they are in. What a fantastic season under year 1 head coach Dan Quinn. Obviously has other head coaching experience, but it's year 1 in Washington, and rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels having a fantastic season when you look at it. 700 rushing yards, 3,000 passing yards. He's easily could get to 800, 3,500, 800. I mean, maybe even 4,000 if he wants to light his ass up the next 2 weeks. And now we got Michael Penix Jr. making his first ever road career start against the Commanders. Now, Washington coming off a huge win against Philadelphia. I think this is a very interesting matchup. They did a great job stopping Philly's run in the second half. And I think Atlanta's going to have to rely on Bijan Robinson to keep moving the chains. I just think the moment might be a little too big on the road in the spot for Atlanta, but everything to play for the Falcons here. It did open up the playbook a little bit. Penix is able to move unlike Kirk Cousins, so it can at least buy some time, create some new creative play calls. I just think Washington's a better team, man. I don't think Atlanta's very good, but if Atlanta wins, they will continue to control their destiny and get into the playoffs. I kind of want the Falcons into the playoffs, but Vikings might end up playing them. Would love to beat Kirk Cousins not playing once again, but I think Washington's just too good here, man. I'm going to ride with my man Scary Terry, Jaden Daniels, Rookie of the Year probably. I would say almost confidently it's the Rookie of the Year, and the Commanders slide into that 7 seed in the NFC and lock up all those playoff berths. Okay, and finally, on Monday Night Football, your 13-2 Detroit Lions take on the 6-9 San Francisco 49ers. Nice. But I bet the NFL is disgusted with this one. They thought this would be a premier rematch in the NFC Championship game here in December, but the Niners had that hangover a little bit too hard. Lions, this game is kind of meaningless for them. If the Vikings lose, they can clinch the 1 seed in the division, but if the Vikings win, game becomes completely meaningless for them. It's already meaningless for the 49ers. Lions are really banged up on the back end. They're playing an offense that's kind of struggled the last few weeks. Brock Purdy's, been okay, but I don't know, is he $60 million worth? I think the Lions take care of business here on Monday night. They're going to keep the Bloodhounds rolling. Dan Campbell not going to let them ease up. Give me the Lions to get to win number 14 and set up a massive showdown in Week 18 for the number 1 seed in the NFC. That's going to do it for us this week. Let me know down in the comments below where you agree, where you disagree. Who are your favorite picks for this weekend. If you haven't already, drop a quick like on this video, subscribe to the channel. We got daily sports content for you guys. If you want to support the channel more, sign up for a channel membership. You get your weekly exclusive videos every Friday. You get all sorts of other cool perks, things to use through the live streams throughout the year, badges, emojis, stuff like that. Help support me, allows me to keep making this great content for you guys every single day. Again, like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.